Howdy everyone, this is Mopbot, this is the Asgaard SMP, and welcome back to episode number 3, where we are now in version 1.20, and in the last episode, we worked on this giant building behind me here. This is the Grand Hall, sort of the center point of the base here, and now that we have access to all these cool new blocks that we have as a part of 1.20, we can go ahead and outfit that, and you'll see that I've already collected a bunch of cherry blossom trees because I want to do something pretty massive with those to start off the video today here. But if we go ahead and take a look in here, we've got a ton of room to work with. So this central building here is going to be the throne room / storage unit, and I have some ideas surrounding that. There's a lot of space to fill, so we'll see. We might not finish that in today's episode, but that's totally all right. We also planned out this next building here, and this is what I've been waiting for. I've needed 1.20 in order to do this, because this back building here is going to be a library. This entire building, I know I haven't built it up yet, but you can see the footprint here, is going to be a library, and we have some new bookshelves in 1.20 which are going to make this pretty epic. I think there's going to be a lot of really cool things now that we are able to do, and this is going to branch off into another building probably in that direction, so this corner might change ever so slightly. Let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to start off today's episode, because it's going to utilize these. Right, so looking up at the build here, I am absolutely loving this, and we are currently standing inside of the world spawn, and I've already come through here in the past and built out a circle. Come to think of it, did I carry the walls down? I did. I did no detailing work on it. Okay, so that'll have to come in the future as well, and this will possibly eventually link up down here too. We might do something down there, but that is not something to worry about at the moment because, oh, we're stuck. There we go. So in this moment, we have a lot of space to work with. This is our spawn circle here. We've got the nether portal in there and everything. And yes, we have a data pack that allows us to use the crying obsidian for the portal. So that just allows us to do a little bit more of the decoration, make it look just a little bit less bland, but this is actually going to tie into what we're doing today. And I apparently dropped a couple random blocks here. I don't know why I did that, but we have this little hill, and the idea is that utilizing that new cherry blossom that we now have access to, I would love to build a big tree here that kind of wraps up, ties around like the bottom of the clock tower here, and then we have the access to the nether portal underneath, and then a staircase somehow. Maybe it's like right here on the side, or maybe it's going up the side of the tree like this. I haven't quite decided that yet. Somehow we will have access to come up here into the front of our base, which is right over here. So if that tree is kind of taking up this space right here, and I've intentionally not put anything here because that is going to be the trunk of the tree, we will then have a nice little path to come on up here and come right into this center courtyard. So these need to get farmed up because we're going to need a ton of the blocks. I have not yet planned this out, and I'm also not super good at doing this sort of natural stuff, especially custom trees. So I might be at this for quite some time. I think probably the best way to do this is to start with the trunk, plan out some branches, and then I think I want sort of like a bonsai type shape, but utilizing the pink leaves. Oh boy, I don't think I totally know what I'm getting myself into just yet. People who build trees. How do? Is this right? Is this going in the right direction? I feel like it is. I feel like I'm onto something here. Now, like I said, I don't build trees, and I've got to have a feeling that this is at least starting in the right direction. So if I take a look up here, I'm going to use free cam and take a peek at what we've got so far. I've got five roots coming out of the base, and the base starts a little bit wider, and then it creeps inward, and then we get this much smaller trunk going up so that I can go up, and then I can start doing branches. And I'll probably start them to do pretty low because I don't want too many large flat surfaces like this. I'm also using the big bark blocks, the ones that are like completely covered, so we don't have just a bunch of pink floating around here. And I'll probably try to mix in another wood type if I can find something that makes sense, maybe like a crimson log or something like that, or stripped crimson so that it's like purple, and maybe we add just a little bit of variation in there. But I'd like to get the shape down before I worry about any of that. Yeah, I don't know, let me know if this is actually how this works. I feel like it's kind of okay. The shapes are a little bit random and they kind of just blend into the environment. Like this one comes down and goes into the edge of the circle there. This one comes down and then just goes straight down into the ground, kind of surrounding the portal. Sort of the same thing over here, but on the outside of the circle. The back one kind of just bleeds into the hill. Maybe I could actually poke like a block or two out here so it makes it look like it's kind of coming back up. And then that one just kind of runs into the tower and actually goes like through the tower. So it kind of looks like it's just like fading away. Try to do some branches. I think this is where it's going to get really tricky though. So bear with me. So here's a couple of the branches done here. And I gotta say, I think I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with this now. I've got this big one coming out here in sort of this V shape. And then there's another one along the back here. And that is a little bit more kind of like an oval-ish. Brought out some branches, got a couple smaller ones pointed out the top yet. And then took some leaves straight out, traced a shape, and then just added some 3D-ness to it by making it a little bit bulbous along the bottom. And same thing on the top. If I zoom in here, we can see kind of the same thing going up on the top and the bottom. And I tried to make it a little bit flatter on the bottom and a little bit rounder on the top so that it wasn't like super symmetrical. And it just added a little bit of variation in that way. I think I'm just gonna continue on with what I'm doing here, see if I can get a sky perspective going. And let's do that. Up. Can we make it? Nope, okay. We got a couple of smaller ones, like I was saying. So I'm gonna wrap that around here. Maybe get rid of that fire because that wouldn't totally make sense right underneath a tree. And then wrap that around. I'll probably kind of combine these two into like one big leaf. And then this one going over here, I'll not go too crazy on the bottom. I might have to take those blocks out there so that it doesn't look like those are hitting. In fact, I'll just do that right now. And then we've got one more right there, and that'll be a pretty small leaf, and I'll try to go like up and kind of cover this space that's still empty here so that we get a full-on canopy. I do love to see the petals coming down though. That's super neat. We're just gonna go ahead and keep plugging away here, and let's see what the final shape ends up looking like. Okay, so one final shot here of the completed tree before we go absolutely nuts with this. I think that's pretty solid, and oh boy, is this gonna benefit from what I'm about to do here. Enjoy this transition. And with the blink of an eye, look at that. That is many hours of work that went into this. There's a lot going on here. So for starters, I changed the shape just a little bit here. We had just the circle before. I just added these extra little squares poking out the sides here. We got one over here and two over there just to kind of add a little bit of variation. And then I added an inner wall along the side of the hill here to also kind of make it look like there was like a half circle or quarter circle cutout. And again, just trying to change that shape up and make it a little bit more interesting to look at. So then I already had some of this podzol down because I was growing some large spruce trees. So I spread that all over the place and added in some moss for some variation, along with keeping some patches of grass, which then I added some longer grass onto, trying to make it look quite a bit overgrown. And to stick with that theme of things being overgrown, I also let these extra squares have sort of broken up walls on the sides, having some varying heights, threw in some extra walls to make it look a little bit more damaged, and brought in some of the basalt down there and the cracked bricks along here, and even into the blackstone bricks as well. Again, just trying to make it look pretty broken up, kind of ruined, if you will. Along with the finishing of the custom tree, which I gotta say, I really like how this turned out. We stuck some lights in there to make it glow just a little bit, and then added some of those hanging flowers and a couple mushrooms and whatnot around there just to grab a few dots of color, and some candles even just for a little bit of lighting at the base to make sure nothing spawns around here except for apparently that pigman that just came through the portal that's hiding over there. It's pink, it blends in, it doesn't matter. Lots of flower variations even with the sweet berry bush, and using some of those new petals, which are pretty cool. Those were fun to play with. I love those, and I've gotten myself stuck in one of these bushes. There we go. Even mixing in some bamboo, which is something that I just kind of thought of last minute, and then planting a few azalea trees. And these are not custom trees. While that obviously was all built by hand, I did just plant these and then just kind of shape up the leaves a little bit to make them look not quite so derpy. And then in the back here, we've got a little pond utilizing the new bamboo raft, and then a couple mud blocks down at the bottom. Looks pretty cool, looks pretty serene. A couple rocks poking out of the gravel here on the side, just trying to add some variation. You know, that's kind of the whole name of the game here. And then underneath we have some of the roots and the rooted dirt and even some dripstone. Lots and lots and lots going into this. And of course, now it's raining. Oh, well, it actually looks pretty cool when it's raining too. But there's a tree a little bit more up close here. We've got this area done up here, and we haven't quite... I did it again! We haven't quite done anything along the back here yet. I'm kind of saving this because I think what I want to do is add another little path coming off the side to head down to the river there. But as long as it's raining here, why don't we go ahead up this additional path that I've laid out and get inside, because I added something inside of the tree here. Got a little dwarven hole. Close that behind us. It's wet outside. Wipe our feet off there. There we go. A little bit of detail, you know, playing with some invisible item frames, dropping some food down there, and a book over here. I don't do interiors very often, so this was a little bit challenging, kind of bland, but you know what? I like it. It's kind of inviting, just something to look at. Circling back to the path now, the rain has passed. If we go up here, I've added a couple switchbacks now, so we don't have to just kind of scale the mountain randomly or fling an ender pearl or use the rockets to get up there. Man, I'm really actually happy with that tree. We haven't have a proper entrance now. There we go. That'll eventually connect up to some other stuff. I've got some plans for an entrance here and probably something to come over here. The guy building over there, and I talked about doing a custom bridge right here, and goodbye that. I missed, of course. Okay, well, it's gonna leave anyway. So we'll probably want to connect up to that somehow over here. I haven't quite planned out how I'm going to do that just yet, but I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. Now we have access to everything else, so I absolutely love what's going on over there. But now it really feels complete. And if I use free cam here, that... Oh, that's a different one, right? That didn't just come... Aha. Maybe. I'm getting distracted here. Don't get any closer to me. If we go ahead and use free cam to come on out here and take a top-down view, there's that sort of broken up circle. So like I said, we got pieces jutting out the sides there. Kind of matches with the exit up to my place. That tree bumps right up against the clock tower. We did get rid of the flame that was underneath that, by the way. And then you can see the cut-in and the path that goes off toward other bases, which is really, really nice. And like I said, it all kind of connects now. So you'll spawn into the world right there. The nether portal's right there. You're greeted by this big old tree. And then I have a nice, easy pathway up to my place that will eventually kind of blend over here. I have so many plans. And it just feels so overwhelming, but I love that I've just gotten now another piece of the puzzle done. Switching modes ever so slightly here, down by my neighbor's tower, who has mimicked the style that I'm going for here to create this sort of parody, so that when I... Oh, go away. So that when I built this bridge between us, we had this sort of continuous building style going on, which turned out really awesome, I think. But if we take a look on the inside of that, it was really rough before. We had to parkour through a lot of dirt blocks and grass blocks, and it was super unfriendly. So we've gone ahead and done the interior, so now we can walk in, and there is a proper staircase to go up, and it's all decorated up, at least on the bottom here. Makes it look kind of just like a storage closet of some kind here, and even got my head to greet us at the bottom, although it's actually an old version of my skin, because I have a little bit more texturing done on that now. But if we go ahead and start walking up here, you'll see that there's some hanging lanterns, just kind of making it look like a little bit more of a rustic tower. This was something I played with. This doesn't maybe totally make sense architecturally, but I guess it kind of fits to just have that beam hanging from the ceiling there. But this blends right up into our receiving hall, and this was a nightmare to do. There was such a rough build on the inside here, but coming through here and cleaning it all up was so worth it, even though it took many hours. I think it turned out really nice. It's so nice and clean on the inside now, and adding these beams here that is going to go into our central building just makes this quite a bit more digestible. After adding that and condensing the space a bit and putting in some work to blend everything together, obviously we've still got a lot to do over here, but it makes it quite a bit more manageable. And this space felt so much bigger before, and now it just seems even smaller. And I have a feeling as I start to blend in the walls there and work out how to connect the staircases down there and blend it into the next building over, that it's just going to continue to get smaller and feel a little bit more easy to accomplish. But going over here, we didn't just do that tower, we did this tower as well, and this was previously housing what I currently have for storage, which has just been well, not really relocated. I just kind of built a floor over it, so that will eventually come out, and this room will get all decorated up. But previously, this elevator went all the way to the top of the tower, and also went all the way down. If I hit F3 here, we're at 102 right now, down to -60 where I've been mining. So if I jump back up here, I don't really like to use these in places in the middle of the build, just because I would rather have staircases so that people can actually look at the build as they're walking through, myself included. But going down 162 blocks, I would really rather not do that. So I'm okay using it there and just kind of blending it into the floor. This room, again, will change, and I've got a villager hiding back there, actually. But going up the staircase here, which is kind of a neat shot. I really like that right there with the hanging lanterns and the staircase going up and the arches in the walls here. If you really wanted to skip it, we could just do one of these. Take a ton of damage, but at least we got up there super quickly. So skipping the whole staircase and coming up to the top of the tower here, where currently I just have my bed hiding. We cleaned this up quite a bit too, and again, this just took so long to blend everything together, but it was so absolutely worth it. It was like one big long puzzle. But anyway, I'm super happy with what we've gotten so far. We didn't get to actually build the storage unit today, but at least we've set ourselves up to do that in the very near future. So hopefully y'all have enjoyed. Go ahead and subscribe for more, and I'll see y'all next time.